Hello world, welcome to the 147th Climate Change Emergency Protest Rally here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. It is October 1st, 2021. Next week will be the 148th Climate Change Protest, and that'll be somewhere or other, and I'm not sure whether that'll be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. So, this is the 147th, as I said. This is probably the last next five videos will be the most important videos I could probably post as far as humanity goes, as well as the next two after that. The reason is the COP26 meeting is going to happen in Glasgow, Scotland. Most people don't have a clue what that means or anything, but it's the figureheads, the leaders of the world. 190 countries will get together with 30,000 other so-called experts. And I'll talk about that in a second. We'll gather in November 1st to the 11th in Glasgow, Scotland. It's the most important meeting in the history of humanity. There are going to be 30,000 so-called experts there with panels, discussions, and events. Newsflash, you can't do anything when you got 30,000 mouths flapping in the wind and no ears listening. It's ridiculous that they have 30,000 invitees. That means they're not serious. If you're serious about it, you would have like 2 or 3 representatives from each country, so you can get down to hardcore negotiations. And there really is no negotiation with climate change, but they're choosing to make it so. And 30,000 additional people is just a waste of time. This will be a backslapping, handshaking photo opportunity when they're done, saying how much they did. And most likely nothing will have been accomplished that is actually progressive and going to tackle this issue of climate change. It is the last great chance for humanity to have any chance of coming out of this climate change situation. We're in a severe feedback loops already, and you can see that through many of my videos and videos online, and also postings that I have on this webpage. We have 4 weeks until the COP26 meeting. 4 weeks, that's it. 2 weeks of meetings, and that's about it for humanity. That's November 11th is the end. So we got 30 days plus another 11 days during the meetings to actually make our voices known, to get out on the street and protest and to become educated very quickly about climate change and how devastating of a catastrophe we're going to be heading into, and we are heading into for some people have already happened. After that, if humanity was a ship anchored in a harbor, this is the last chance to hold on to the anchor that is keeping us in the harbor. There's a catastrophic hurricane of climate change that will put us pull us totally out of the safe harbor and into the ocean, the turbulent ocean, only to get worse and worse after November 11th. The worst things will become prevalent all the time. Then at that point, it's just going to get worse and worse. Our safe tether will have been broken. Our anchor chain no longer holds us in safe harbor, and humanity and all life on Earth will be in severe jeopardy after November 11th if they don't come to some severe, absolute, forward-thinking, you'll know when it happens, climate change solutions. There are consequences of no action by all politicians and governments. There are consequences by citizens not paying attention and not forcing politicians to do their job. And why politicians? Well, it's because they got all the money, they all have all the power. So we as citizens have very little power compared to what they can wield throughout the world. Now, what's going to happen with this inaction by politicians is backslapping, photo opportunity, handshaking, BS going to happen after the meeting's over. Well, this is what's going to happen after November 11th and for the rest of our lives. There will be food shortages, more and more severe. There will be droughts, more and more severe. There will be fires, more and more severe. There will be flooding, more and more severe. Category 5 hurricanes will become commonplace, if not a Category 6, which doesn't exist right now. One of the weird things that will happen as a result of this too, due to the melting of the land ice around glaciers and up in Greenland and down in Antarctica, what's going to happen is the weight of those glaciers will now be transferred to the oceans, and that'll lead to devastating earthquakes due to plate tectonic shifts. Various places of the globe are going to start shifting severely once things keep melting, and there is a tipping point where the weight becomes too much for the Earth to handle, and she will adjust by moving land masses around. There will be volcanoes as a result of this. There will be mass migration due to inaction of our politicians and governments. There will be governmental collapse at that point. Civilization will collapse soon afterwards, and it will be all-out chaos. So this is the price of inaction, and a society and a citizenship that refuses to address the issue of climate change and refuses to acknowledge that an issue exists because it's too hard or too devastating or whatever. Yeah, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be hell on earth for anyone under age 60. And, it's immoral not to do anything at this point. To sit on your hands and just wait for things to happen is unconscionable. I don't know how someone can look a child in the eye or look at anyone on the street and go, you know what, I'm really messing up here. So the only chance to change and force changes by politicians is to get out on the street and protest. You need to do things like this, stand on street corners, become uncomfortable. And after a while, it does become more comfortable. You most likely won't get hurt unless you have crazy people like around here that are vehemently opposed to climate change. I don't know what the heck their thinking is. No one ever stops. I always say, stop and talk to me. And they don't. They drive on, just yell things and move on. History will bear out, though, and it does bear out, that protesting on the street is the only thing that forces politicians to change. You put out mass amount of people and change will happen. You also have to make your case. Politicians in charge of the world's government, especially here in the United States, and locally and nationally, refuse to make their point as to what's going on with the climate. Why? Because either they're greedy or they just don't know about climate change, and they refuse to learn about climate change because it's too uncomfortable. They'll lose their position. I can't be a career politician if I lose my job. We also need to get all the political parties on board with this. They need to go in the same direction. This infighting that we're seeing in the United States is absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to tie a tiny amount of climate change bill to this giant infrastructure bill. And in reality, we need a climate change bill by itself, and it has to be astronomical. Everyone has to suffer economically with this. The rich have to pay more than what they're paying, or 10% or 2%. They need to pay up to 80, 90% of their income towards saving our world, because they're the largest contributor to climate change. People need to get educated about climate change immediately. You only have 30 days. That's it. That's all you got to study up on it and get aggravated and get into a panic situation that you're willing to stand on the street corner like I do, or my wife accompanies me out here on the street corner occasionally and, does our protest. I recommend you go down this webpage and learn about climate change. We only have 4 weeks, as I said, 30 days. Start talking to everybody. Try to talk to people about climate change and how devastating it's going to be and how scared you are as a parent or a brother or a sister or whatever. It needs to be a directed panic, though. Directed panic is a good thing. That forces you to do things and go towards a certain direction rather than just run like your hair's on fire. This is Code Red for Humanity. The United Nations, the IPCC, within that United Nations, put out a Code Red for Humanity. But it's only Code Red until November 11th. If they don't get anything done and they backslap each other and shake each other's hands and smile for photos, then it's Code Black for Humanity. It's dead on arrival, and we'll have to work our way back to get to Code Red, which is total, dangerous and wake-up call. We just can't sit and wait for this devastation to happen. More and more devastation is happening around the world. If you don't know what's happening, please get on YouTube and do your research as to what's happening concerning climate change. I'm going to go up to the corner up here at York Street and the square here in Gettysburg, amongst all the trucks and people with their pickup trucks, and do my climate change protest. I call that Climate Change Protest Corner. Make your own corners in your towns. You don't need other people to be there. You can do it by yourself, or you can do it with 10 or 1,000 other people. But if you don't protest, don't get out on the street, make people aware that something is going on, nothing's going to happen, and we are literally in a death sentence situation. We have 30 days to get on this, plus another 11, and that's it. This is the biggest event in human history coming up, and the press won't cover it. They won't tell what's going on or anything like that. So do it with others. Make your own broadcast. Do what I'm doing here. You're not alone, okay? Broadcasts tell other people that they're not alone in their thought process concerning climate change. So we have 6 weeks to change the world. That's it. If we don't do this now at this point, that's it. So are you getting it? That's it. That's maybe the title of this thing. That's it. So I'll catch you next week on somewhere around October 9th or earlier or later. I'll see you then. Bye.